Hi everyone, my name is Howard Murphy. I'm the Business Development Manager for DB Computer Solutions. For those that don't know us, DB Computer Solutions are an accredited business partner for Sage Ireland who provide solutions covering Sage's portfolio of software, including some of our own modifications. Sage 50 alongside Sage 200 is one of Sage's flagship packages. It's a flexible business solution for small to medium businesses that simplifies financial management and business processes. And DB Computer Solutions have built a sizable base of Sage 50 users over the last 20 or so years. Through acquiring that level of customers, we've not only provided solutions, but also learned where we can introduce efficiencies here. As you may or may not know, hopefully you know if you've got our details here. TASBooks effectively will no longer be supported past the 31st of August this year. So that means if you haven't upgraded already, there is only a small window left for businesses to actually move to another system. So within this session, we'll tip the hat towards some of Sage's beneficial features together with some of the advantages of some of its integrations with other systems, which will help eliminate any duplication of effort and a lot of the paperwork as well. On our session today, my colleague Gordon Lawler will give you an overview of Sage 50 Professional. Feel free to put forward any questions you have through the chat, which we'll answer for you towards the end, time permitting. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce you over to my colleague, Gordon Lawler. How are you, Gordon? How are you?
Howard, yeah, you can hear me okay there, can you?
I can, yeah. If you want to take over on Sage 50 there, if you can bring it up, and we'll just go through a few of the points.
You can see that, okay. Can you help my
Yeah, can indeed.
Yeah, so you can see this is kind of the main screen for Sage 50. On kind of the left hand side, you get kind of the different modules that pick up kind of all the units of customer list,
Yeah.
your suppliers, standard stuff. All of these screens can be. Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, so this, just to mention to everybody that the latest version of Sage 50 is version 30, which was out only recently. And just maybe to touch on just some of the differences here, just some of the features that came along, I think. What we're going to do, first of all, is we're going to take a look at the financials, just some details around that, to just show in comparison and what you're familiar with in TASBooks. But, just in very brief, there are just some of the new features on the latest version would be that, and we will get into these things later on. There have been some enhancements around the actual bank feeds, the rules that are involved in how that works. It is more importantly, this is now a 64-bit version of the actual software, although 32-bit is available still on purchase. You can just let us or Sage know. We'll get into that a little bit later. It has a report finder AI tool in there as well. It's got some more bank defaults for bank payments, receipts, and so on. So there are just some slight changes in the version 30. We'll send out a list of just some of the full features on Sage 50. But I think just for the moment, I think we're going to give you an overview of Sage 50. So Gordon, I was just going to suggest maybe we take a look at the actual financials element of it first. Beforehand.
I suppose just coming back to that 64-bit thing, Howard. One of the kind of the big problems recently was that like Office would always be defaulted to 64-bit installed it, and it was always a bit of a pain because on 30 page. So at least that's gone away.
Gordon, your audio is dipping slightly. It does sound a bit low. So if there's any way of
I brought the mic back down. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Well, yeah. So just going on the financial side, so you can see here, this is your nominal list. So you get kind of two ways of looking at it. You get this kind of just this default list view, and then you can also just click in here to the analyzer. So each thing then is summarized by sales or purchases, expenses, that kind of thing. The actual kind of place where they're going to be in your chart of accounts. So you can pop in and then get the detailed breakdown for any of the kind of the the nominal accounts here. The other thing, of course, is you can set up your chart of accounts. So if I go in here to the default one, so you're just grouping your nominal codes into by ranges basically. For your sales are going to be from roughly 4,000 up to 499, and then your purchases are 5,000 up to 5,300 or so.
Yeah.
But you can amend this then to suit your own kind of business. This is just the standard out of the box stage one, and you've something similar down on the balance sheet side where you can just set up your chart of accounts that way as well.
And just to point out to people, anybody just sort of looking over this currently at the moment, whether now or in the future, one of the things that we can do is that we can assist you in what would be the best way to sort of set up your chart of accounts, albeit you probably have exactly what way you want to do it, but in some cases some people need advice and we can help them with that as well.
Yeah. And the other thing is you can have multiple ones. So, depending on kind of, what reports you want to do, whether it's going to be kind of a very detailed look at anything or a kind of a more of an overview for management, you can set up multiple ones here and you can then just run your reports based off that layout that you set up earlier. So if I go into, say, run a profit and loss, if I had multiple profit and loss layouts there, I'll be able to just pick up which one I want to see. So you can get a different level of detail for different people in your organization.
And no doubt the 64-bit, you'd probably be able to crunch the numbers quicker as well.
Exactly, yeah. That's kind of one of the improvements with it, that you can have kind of bigger data sets and it'll run through the data faster. And then, once you get your profit and loss here, you can drill down into it and you'll see, all the different nominals, and then you can drill down again just to see the actual transactions that make up those totals then as well. You'll notice there that I'm in a Sage demo account. That's it's meant to be a company that sells stationery and computer parts. So and the base currency is sterling. So I suppose that's kind of well, I suppose the foreign currency is another thing probably, Howard, to mention, is it that you do have multiple currencies set up in Sage.
Yeah, that's it. Just to sort of point that out within Sage 50, just so people are advised.
Yeah, I mean everything here is going to be in sterling by default, but because that's the base currency for this company. You also can do departmental reports. So if you have departments set up, so if I go here to the department module, you'll see there's up to 999. So you can just see that the first 7 there have been given names, and they're the only ones that are actually been used on the system. So anytime you enter a transaction, you can assign a department to it. So you'll see most things here are going to be your default department 0, but there are going to be other so you can see there's some there. So an invoice for your workshop, department 7. So you can see that was just the only transaction entered for that. But you can then run your profit and loss or your balance sheet based off those departments, just to look at kind of where exactly in the organization the transactions are happening.
Yeah, very good. And on the budgets side of things, can you allocate budgets to the departments themselves?
Exactly. So if I go into the budgets module here, you can see it's giving you that kind of aggregate overview there, but you can drill down into it and you can see your budgets for any particular nominal, and then you can do it by department then as well. So you can see I'm looking here at department 7, so I can switch then to the default one.
Okay.
Now, I think everything's probably set at 0, but you can import these then as well, and you can also send them to Excel and kind of manipulate them out there if you want to.
And just to touch on that as well, I mean, obviously there's some reporting here, we can dump the information out, but one of the things we have done with customers also is that if they're operating with Microsoft Office, is that we can integrate pivot table reports directly in Excel that'll feed off that live data, so you can see that information through your Excel sheets just simply by hitting update on the data, and it'll read directly from Sage 52, and that's true across each module, so not just on the financials, but obviously around stock, sales, purchases, that kind of thing.
So I mean, I've set up one earlier where I just kind of linked it into that demo company, but you can see it will bring all the information into this sheet here, And then on the separate sheet there, I just have a pivot table that's kind of pulling in a live kind of
Yeah.
feed from the data. So, if you want to refresh it, you can just click, refresh all, and it'll pull that up-to-date information in. So it's kind of very handy for salespeople. Like, I mean, we have a couple of customers where you have people that they don't really use Sage at all, but they need to know what their commission is. So they're just updating from the invoicing list, and it'll update straight away, basically.
And there's some clever ways if you're working in conjunction with the likes of OneDrive as well. I've noticed with some clients that they actually have some of this stuff dumped out on a daily basis. And of course, if you're operating on 365 on your phone or anywhere else, it's just sharing a copy of that information also. So I've seen that done too.
And if we go back to the nominal codes, yeah, I mean, is there anything else on the financial side to be covered, do you think, Howard?
No, I don't think so. I think maybe we just talk briefly. I know you mentioned earlier on just on foreign currency. I mean, we've a base currency here of sterling, but just how Sage 50 operates typically
Yeah.
about the
So,
likes of
I
foreign
suppose
currency.
if I go into this kind of helping about, you'll see kind of all of the features that are turned on. So
Yeah.
by default, you'll see like, I have e-banking here is not, but foreign trader is. So basically you turn on foreign trader, and that allows you then to use the foreign currencies. So if I go into settings and currencies, so you'll see, I've set up kind of just some initial exchange rates with the various kind of currencies on the system. And then it's just a case of setting up your suppliers, your customers, as a sterling or a euro or dollar or whatever it is. And then you can just take payments or do whatever you need to with them. So if I go to the bank accounts, you'll see I've set up a euro bank account there. So, you see that everything by default is sterling, but then we just have the euro one there as well. And there's, you can take payments from sterling or euro suppliers, or sorry, customers. And you can also then do something like revalue your account then as well. So if we go to foreign bank revaluation, you can pick, your valuation date and then what your exchange rate at that revaluation date is going to be.
Very good.
So I can say, maybe this came in at a rate of like €1.15 to the pound. Maybe it's changed since then. So we can update the value here. And then that'll just post the change, and it'll update the currency table as well. So if we go back to our currencies, you'll see we're now at €1.10 to the pound. And it should have also done the transactions in the background to update that bank account. Must be at the other end. So yeah, see your revaluation journal that's updating the value on it.
Very good.
And you can see, my base balance has dropped down. It was, I think, £1,000. It's now 1,045 because sterling has lost value. And that's kind of the basics of the currencies in Sage, I suppose.
Very good. What we'll talk about as well, I think, is just on the bank reconciliation and too. Now, just so you know, you saw there a moment ago when Gordon had the options screen there, and you could see some of the things turned on and off. That one of the items in there was e-banking. So it does have the potential for bank feeds. Obviously, it's difficult to demonstrate that unless we're operating with live data on screen. And for GDPR purposes, we wouldn't be able to do that anyway in this particular type of setting. But suffice to say that it is available, within Sage 50.
Yeah, I mean, if I just go into the kind of the bank feed wizard here, you'll see, we've got our list of bank accounts that's picked up from the system, and then you're just clicking on Connect Bank, and so you can see, these are the ones available here in Ireland. So if I picked one of them, it'll kind of go so far, and then basically we'll actually need to have a real bank account that we can log into. So that's kind of the stopping point. But you can see it's pretty straightforward, and here you come to your standard business online login account.
And of course, it's dependent on the particular type of bank again and what they can actually offer as part of their integrations also. So it's, it's heavily dependent on the bank that you're dealing with as well, of course.
Yeah, I think the next update to Sage is meant to do reconciliation for all the banks they're saying. So that'll be
that'll be
an
interesting.
improvement. Yeah.
Yeah. And just with regards to bank reconciliation then as well, just if we can touch briefly on
Yeah.
that aspect of it.
Yeah. So if I go in here to one of these, to the first main bank account, and I go into reconcile. So at the moment, there's no reconciliation there. So it's just going to prompt me to
Yeah,
set
of
up
course.
a new one. But you'll see, here's your outstanding list of transactions that are unreconciled.
Yeah.
So essentially, you just be going through your statement and saying, yeah, that's a match. It's on the statement. That's a match. That's a match. So as you see them kind of on the statement and they're in their system, you just save them as the match. And you don't have to do it all in one go. You can click down here and save your progress, come out of it, come back in then later when you need to update it, and we can use the save reconciliation and you can carry on. And ideally, the thinking is that you'll match everything, you'll match them all, and then at that point, your statement balance in Sage and your statement balance from your bank statement will show you a difference of 0. So everything is fine, and you can just then reconcile.
Very good.
And that's the bank then reconciled. And if you go interaction, sorry, I'm just thinking, where do we see the old ones? Sorry, it's actually on the bank record itself, I think. Yeah, so if we go in here to reconciliations, so you'll see, it's kept a record of it, and you can see what the opening and closing balance in the bank was.
Very good.
And it'll show you, all the reconciled transactions on it as well. So it'll save that from when you finish the reconciliation. And then you're ready for the next month.
Yeah, very good. So if we can just touch briefly on stock as well, and just some of the processes. So we won't get too heavily into detail on it, but if anybody does want a proper one-to-one demonstration, we're happy to arrange it. So please reach out to us either via the chat, or you can send it to howard@dbcomp.ie. So yeah, look, if maybe we can take a look at just some elements of the stock here as well.
Yeah. So I suppose the first thing that it lets you do is it lets you categorize your stock. So if I go to products here, so you'll see, these are kind of their default categories, so that are just numbers really, but you would give them a label then. So you can see one is paper products, office supplies. I presume the computer parts are down here somewhere. Yeah, computer accessories. So you can then report against these categories to see what you're buying or selling of a particular kind of product line. So you can see what's making you more money than kind of some other product lines.
Yeah.
And then on the actual product list itself, so I can add in, say, extra columns here. So I should have maybe it's already on already. Okay, I'm not seeing it. But if I go into, say, one of the product codes here, that come up on my other screen. So you'll see here that we have, category 6 presentation supplies. So it's a whiteboard, and you can set things here like, your cost prices for it. So you can see, cost £15. You'll have a default supplier here as well. So the supplier account is this uni here. And then you'll have your selling prices as well. So we have our pricing structure here. So, the standard price is £20, but some of the customers get these special prices. So you can see that this business exhibition is getting £16.50. Other ones are getting £18 and £19. So you can just, you can import all of these as well. So they're kind of a fairly standard Excel format that you can just update your prices, every month or whenever you need to, basically.
Very good.
And the other side of it is you can import the cost prices. So if you have your cost price list coming from your suppliers, you can import that as well.
Yeah. And if we can just touch on some of the sales order processing just outside of just the general invoicing also, which is an important aspect of Sage 50, and we can talk about some extensions to what we can do with Sage 50 maybe after that.
Yeah. So if I go to my my invoicing module here, invoice credits, so I can set up a new invoice pretty easily.
Yeah.
These are all popped up to the screen. So I'll just pick my customer here, and then I'm just entering the product codes. So if I have that whiteboard, I can just put in the first couple of letters. Sorry, board is the code. So so I can say, right, we're selling 2 of them at the €18. So they're obviously getting one of those discounted prices. And I can just maybe scroll down the list here to just pick a different product, and we can just quickly tab across, enter 2 of them, and you can see, that customer then is getting a discount based on presumably on the order value here as well. So I can look at things here like my profit on this order, so I can see my percentage profit, and then when I'm done, I can do things here like change the delivery addresses, add notes. There's custom fields that are in there as well for reporting. So you might want to have like a rep or an account manager set up here, so you can do reports against that rep or account manager later. You can change the name of these fields then as well. So by default, they're just called analysis 1, 2, and 3. So you can amend that in the system too.
That's right. And I think that goes up to 5 now, doesn't it?
Yes, there are newer ones in this version, but I just haven't been turned on because it's been upgraded from an older copy of the data.
Yeah, of course.
You can do things like here, set up your kind of default carriage as well. So I can say, right, it's £10 to carriage on them, and you can set in couriers as well. So if we had couriers set up, we can link it to the courier company too here.
Yeah.
So once you've saved it, and I go back here, I just go look at my newest invoice, and that's it there. So I can print it, and actually this is it doesn't show you there's no defaults here yet, but I can just put in yeah, that's probably a handy one to have. So just that Republic of Ireland email invoice. So you can see it's a fairly kind of bare layout at the moment, but we can add logos and kind of make them a lot
we
prettier looking.
We can make it a lot fancier. I've seen them with different clients, of course.
Yeah, and from here then you can print a PDF or email it straight out to the customer. So again, it's not set up to link. It's not linked to my mail at the moment, but normally they would just go straight out.
That's it.
Actually, that kind of reminded me. One nice thing in this new version is this AI powered report wizard. So you can from any of the modules you can just put in a question basically in plain English. So how much did I invoice last month?
That's very nice.
And it will then suggest what reports you should be running to see that. Because, it gives you a whole list of relevant reports for your question, basically.
Yeah.
And then once you've printed it or emailed it, the other option then is to actually just update it. All right, they give me an error because I haven't set up the carriage nominals, but that's effectively all you need to do.
Yeah, it's just all in the configuration.
Yeah.
So when we're looking at the likes of sales orders as well, obviously your sales and purchase orders just delivers an actual process for the moving and receipt of your actual stock, and the various stages within as well. So Sage 50 supplies that as well. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I mean, if I say I can create a new order here, and I will just do it for a different customer maybe. So pick someone down the list. But then I'll be picking some items maybe we have in stock for this ledger book here. And we say 10 of them. And it gives me the option here. So I can allocate all that stock now to the order, and I can do that because we have the stock in hand. If we were kind of having to buy in stuff first, then obviously you'd have to allocate it later on when you receive the goods.
Yeah.
But I can allocate that now. and you see it's going to show it's fully allocated here. And then the idea is that you will just, dispatch it. So it will create the dispatch note and the invoice for you. So I can
Yeah.
say, yeah, I want to do both of those.
But if you're generating the sales order, the manual process is you'd print off the order, go pick it, or print off a picking list, go pick the actual stock, and then you update the system to indicate you're dispatching it, and then print your dispatch note and what have you.
Yeah. And is that something that you'd be kind of thinking that people would do with bar scan, Howard, is it?
Yeah. So that's the thing, for each of the processes that you see here within Sage in itself. I mean, it has to be inherent in the actual product and what it provides. But there are other sort of utilities that you can use in conjunction with Sage 50, and one of those things, as you mentioned, is bar scan. So if anybody has any kind of a small stores or even a warehouse and they're looking to sort of barcode the actual stock, and that sales order process is carried out on the likes of a handheld, there's various ways in which we can assist customers to sort of do that. So that just means that once the order is entered in, they don't need to update it again on Sage 50. When it's carried out in the handheld and they pick it and dispatch it in the warehouse, it'll even email the customer with a notification that their goods have been dispatched, and even link directly with their courier if it's DPD or whatever, and update them, tell them to pick up the packages, and then generate the invoice back on Sage 50, so you don't have to go through those steps. And that's just one particular type of integration that's available in using Sage 50, which unfortunately TASBooks didn't have that kind of integration previously either. So it's one of the big advantages of using Sage 50.
Yeah, just to touch on the barcodes there, I think it
Mm-hmm.
is one of the fields in
Yeah,
so you can put in barcodes here on the product record.
yeah,
The other kind of thing I suppose to point out is that I'm manually changing things here. You can import
yeah,
all of this kind of data in bulk as well. So
yeah,
if you have a big list of products, there is a routine to import them here.
yeah,
So if I go in here, you'll see, we've got all the different types of records you can import. So you can see I can bring in new customers or nominals or products. And there's a
yeah.
standard format for them. So, kind of all the fields you saw there on that kind of product window can be just imported kind of in bulk from Excel files.
Yeah, and of course, you've also got your purchase ordering there as well, which is in the same process as your sales order, only in reverse, of course. So you do have the facility now to allocate purchase order numbers, purchase orders directly to your suppliers, book the stock in as it comes, making stock control a little tighter than the way people can just tend to just invoice and not really pay attention to the stock itself. So there is a better facility there for stock control in itself.
Yeah. And I think just to point out, these ones are showing red because they are, below
Hmm.
their stock levels, I would imagine.
Yeah,
So yeah, exactly. See, you've got a reorder level here of 10, so you've got 9 in stock. So it's just kind of highlighting to you that these red
yeah.
product codes need to be reordered.
And a couple of critical things around that as well. So, Gordon, could you open up just any one of the records there, one of the product records for a
Yeah,
second? And just to highlight something is that on the left-hand side here, you see there's an activity area here as well. So
yeah,
you select that for me for the moment. There you can see each of the transactions that have occurred on the system. You'll see the cost price and sales price and what have you. So just to harken back to what we were discussing earlier on in relation to the likes of the pivot table reports, some of the nice reports that we've done in pulling out the data, because it will exist on Sage 50 there, is that we can generate like for like reports for sales or stock items going back over the last number of years. So you can actually run a very detailed sort of like for like to indicate exactly what way growth has happened over that period of time as well. They're very popular reports that we get requested for as well. So just to know that once the activity exists in there, we can tap into that and pump it out into the likes of that kind of Excel integrated report. And then there's also other products like Reveal, which are sort of live dashboards you can get on your phone, which will give you stuff like that too, that you can plug into Sage 50 also.
yeah.
So just moving away from the stock end of it there, just one of the other things that came up previously when I was talking to other customers was the facility for auto backup and just general
Oh, yeah.
security for Sage 50 in itself. So if maybe we
Yeah.
can finish on that just to show that.
Yeah. So I mean, you can see here this, I've got into this scheduled backup manager, but one of the other things I suppose it does is it will do an automated data check. So every night, and at the moment it's set to 12:45. So that's probably not ideal, but you can have
Yeah,
it. This is something you normally do if you have a server, you set it to run at midnight, or if you
yeah,
have like Sage just on one machine, you might have it at 5 o'clock in the day or something like that. But you want it just to not impact your normal kind of business routines.
yeah,
But it'll show you what the results were for the last however long. So you can if there was a year's worth of kind of check data there, it
yeah,
would
yeah,
show me kind of the warnings as they kind of arise and are kind of cleared off then afterwards. And then
yeah,
you'll also see the backup files. So this is a new company, so there's nothing there at the moment,
yeah.
but they are just kind of all kept in one folder. And it'll normally clear them off then after a month, depending on how you set the settings up.
Yeah.
You can also run more than once a day. So, you might have some customers run it at like lunchtime, or maybe like every kind of 6 hours. So it kind of get thrown at 6 in the morning, 12 o'clock in the day, and then 6 in the evening as well.
Yeah, and look, as part of all implementations or upgrades that we do with Sage 50 or Sage 200, we'll always, as our company has an IT background here as well, we'll always nominate a very stringent sort of schedule with regards to what you're doing on your backup routines for the account system. So, we provide hosted servers as well that Sage 50 can sit on, which are fully managed, and backups and disaster recovery is a big part of that. Also, if you've got it installed locally, we'd always ask you to sort of consider some form of cloud backup and a number of other type backups, local backups that you could do. And the automated backup would just be one in a number of different ways to back up the data because let's face it, you can't take enough of them, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I suppose the other thing is it does kind of save them to Microsoft OneDrive, if you want to use that as kind of your cloud
That's
backup as
right.
well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Because of course, if you're using, I think it's something like Microsoft Office Business Premium or something like that. You do tend to have a license that will integrate with 50 and how you back it up. Also, that's something that only I discovered in the last
All
year or
right.
so. So it is just something, another thing that you can turn on as well. To make sure that everything is safe, and if anything happens, that you can, get to a copy of it somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so look, I think thanks very much for giving us an overview on that. Just a couple of things that I'll just point out here that there's a number of things that we haven't covered on the system, and that's why I think Tristan has sent out a request there for anybody who's looking for a one-to-one demonstration to reach out to us, because what I've noticed trending over the last couple of years that we have had a large number of inquiries for are for things like the projects piece as well. And you might just click on it. I'm not going to ask you to
All
go
right.
into
Good.
it,
Yeah.
Gordon, but on the project side, it just allows you to sort of set up projects for our different jobs. It's a replacement for the old job costing in Sage 50, and very handy for you to set up a structure for a particular project, so you can allocate purchases, you can import timesheets, expenses against those particular projects, run your reports on them, set budgets around them, and also generate your invoicing in a timely fashion as well to the actual customer. We're coming across that more and more. We also can integrate the likes of what we mentioned earlier on, BarScan, for allocating goods to projects as opposed to dispatching them. And we have facilities around that also. And there's also some nice tools for remote trapping information to go directly into that aspect of it. Reporting we touched on earlier as well. So we have a variety of ways in which you can actually report on the likes of Sage 50, as we've mentioned. There's the warehouse management aspect. There's also a facility there for production or manufacturing also. that you can utilize in conjunction with Sage 50, and all of which we'd be happy to show you. On our channel on YouTube, there are videos there as well that we've done with each of those in conjunction with 50, if anybody wants to Google and take a look. So I'm just going to take the screen back for a second there, Gordon. Thanks very much for your help. And just throw it out to anybody if they've any sort of queries whatsoever, just in relation to anything they've seen there, or if there's anything they've come across previously that they want to raise and bring up. I'll just leave it open for a couple of minutes. That's all right. Just a couple of questions then, just to jump back to what we were talking about, Gordon, just on the 64-bit end. Just any sort of insights as to what the main advantages would be for that?
I suppose the main one is that you kind of like when you install the Office products now, they're by default they're always 64-bit. So because Sage is now 64-bit as well, it means they kind of just work together a lot better, a lot easier. And again, it's a case of you can just handle more data because of it being 64-bit, and things will run a bit quicker at least.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. We haven't got many questions at all. So what we might do is then just if anybody is interested, if they want to sort of send any queries to us, feel free. As I said, you can send it to howard@dbcomp.ie. If you're looking for that demonstration directly, we can do that also. As I mentioned, if you are interested in looking at any of these other solutions that integrate directly with Sage 50, very happy to show you that. And like I said, we've plenty of videos to show you if you want us to send them on to you also. You want to look at it in your own time. And so look, I just want to say a big thank you to everybody involved. Thanks very much, Gordon, for giving us the demonstration and the overview of Sage 50. If, as I say, look, reach out to us, talk to us. There's my email address there. And look, aside from that, thank you very much for your time and have a great afternoon.